Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Alex's Afternoon Art Show. Today we are doing Ghost Rider, the next one of our Halloween themed episodes. And last time, if you watched the last episode, I did mention that the next episode, this episode, was going to probably be a little bit of a longer one, a bit of a more difficult one for me, because I've got to draw fire, because it's Ghost Rider, skulls, because it's Ghost Rider, and also perspective, because I chose that one. That one was entirely me. And also, looking at it now, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to work with here, which I'm probably going to have to change a little bit. So, this one's most likely going to be another one of those ones which is split across two different recordings, but, it'll be one video for you. But, it's going to be a bit of a pain for me, so, yeah. That said, I'll see what I can get done here, but I'm going to have a lot of changes to make because this is a little funky looking. But I will show you what I mean after the intro. So I'll roll the intro now. Okay, so this is what we're working with. We're working with some stuff here, which is probably gonna need some work done. So we've got to deal with this gun, which I don't know. This ain't looking right to me. This isn't looking right. I'm probably gonna have to change this. The fire's maybe it's very tall, but I think I can more or less work with it as is. I'd maybe have to alter some bits of it. This arm is not good. I'm going to have to change this hand quite considerably. His arm here is a little big as compared to the rest of his body. It should be smaller than the rest of his body. Because this is obviously further back. Because obviously, again, we're dealing with perspective. Gun, forefront, big. Head, middle ground. Same with the main part of the body here. This is middle ground, average size. Then this arm, background, small. Well, it should be, but it's not quite looking right. So this is probably going to need to be changed a little bit. There's some work which I'm going to have to do here, which is what I mean whenever I say that, I've not got the easiest road ahead of me here. There's a lot of bits here which just aren't quite complete. Stuff like these little things here. I want those to maybe be like actual belts or something, but that'll be stuff I'll have to do now. The gun's obviously details lacking. This obviously shouldn't just be a little hole here. I need to put an actual rim around it so that you can see the actual barrel. I'm debating just moving this whole thing over so that way I only actually have to draw the barrel and then the little piece of under barrel, the grip, because obviously the way that this is, it's not looking great. So I am debating just moving this over and then seeing how that looks. Anyways, we'll see. There's not much I really need to talk about beforehand. I think obviously this is going to have to become a chain, which means this is not going to be quick. Because I've decided to also include the chain for some reason. Would you believe that I had to do a lot of research to figure out whether or not Ghost Rider normally has a shotgun? Because I was basing my knowledge mostly off of the movie, in which he obviously has a shotgun. But I was thinking to myself, wait a minute. Does he actually have one in the comics? And then I did a lot of looking, and I found out that occasionally, very occasionally, he does have one. So I'm in the clear. That was a lot of the surprising amount of looking I had to do to figure that out. In terms of what we're doing here, these dark bits here are just going to be black. I gave him little pupils. These are going to connect into the fire. But I ordinarily wouldn't do that, but I think it looks a little better here maybe. We'll see how I feel about it later. I might remove them. It might not be quite what I want, so we'll see what I do. I tried to make his skull expressive, so let me zoom in so I can demonstrate what I mean. This eye is kind of squinting here, and this eye is open more, because he's supposed to be kind of aiming it. He's supposed to be aiming his gun a little bit. So this eye is a little squinted, this eye is open more. He's kind of doing a little bit like a kind of expression with his mouth. So I tried my best to kind of make this a little bit more expressive. Yeah, that's kind of what I was intending, at least. And yeah, I think I am going to have to change this gun because this is not looking right to me. I think I'm just going to have to move this over to be here and make it just a little a bigger circle. That means that selling the perspective is going to be a little bit more difficult, because generally it's a little easier to sell perspective whenever you can see it going from small to big. Either I do that and move this over, or I make the perspective more intense on this, i.e. this is bigger and this is smaller. So, or yeah, the actual hole at the front of the barrel is bigger, and then the rest of it is smaller, so that it seems like it's becoming bigger. If that makes any sense, there's more of an intense perspective on it. That's the thing that I'd have to do here in order to change that. With this, because this isn't looking right, it looks too flat. It looks like if you were to look at this from a side profile, this would actually be about the size of a revolver, which isn't what this should be. This should be a lot longer, which is why I'm debating moving it over here and making it bigger, making it about that size roughly, like that it would cover bits of the hands, and the hand would obviously be a little smaller here. Yeah, we'll see what I do. I'm gonna have to do the gun first anyways, because that's the nature of this perspective. It would cover part of the head, so I need to do that first. So let's see what I do here anyways. So I will begin these details, and I will see how much I can get done, because there's almost no chance that I'm getting all of this done in the one recording. If only because I have so much stuff that I have to do here, the weird little difficult bits that I have to do. But yeah. Okay, so that is our details done. I've already been at this for 2 hours, and it is dark now. But I think I will try and get this done because I actually don't anticipate most of this taking very long. Because realistically speaking, there isn't a huge amount to do. So in terms of the colors, I'll probably do. I don't know, what should I do first? It might behoove me to do the fire first, because that'll be reasonably quick. But yeah, I actually don't have a huge amount to do, because I'm not going to be shading any of the fire, obviously, and I'm not going to be shading the bone, so I'm only going to be shading these handful of colors, the black, the grey, the silver, and whatever this blue color is that I'm going to use for any of the patterning on his jacket. So realistically speaking, this won't take very long, because I don't have to do much painted shading, and I don't have to do really anything on the background. I'm maybe going to put some embers here and there, and that'll fill out my background a little bit, and I'll put maybe a faint glow in the background, something like that, like a little glow coming from the bottom like that, something minor for the background, mostly black for the background, kind of like I did with the Ryu drawing, something kind of like that. And yeah, bizarrely enough, I hate to say it, but the design that I have here for Ghost Rider is somewhat based off of the Fortnite design. Somewhat. The kind of the way his jacket looks is more derived from that it's a more of a kind of a modern motorcycle jacket, and it's still got the kind of the rectangle shape thing on it, and it's got some of these spikes on it as well. Sort of based on that. It's still more of a normal jacket than that one is, because that one's got like padding and armoring and stuff on it. I'm not sure what they're doing with that one, but this is oddly based on that. Yeah. I tried to make this arm smaller, but it kind of makes things look a little weird. I made the chains kind of get bigger and closer to the camera in parts, so yeah, that kind of flows maybe. Like this one kind of goes, there should be more of it visible. With the chains, there should be bits which overlap in different ways, but I am not doing that. It will take too long. I don't have all day. And yeah, it is a little later now. I started this late in the day anyways. I probably should have started it earlier, but I had other stuff to be doing. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to try and maybe get this done. I don't have it probably won't take very long. I can anticipate this getting done in about another hour of recording, maybe an hour and a half more, which isn't realistically that long, all things considered. This I should be able to get this done reasonably fast, because there isn't a huge amount that needs done. But yeah, in the interest of time, I am just going to get to it then, I suppose. So yeah, I'm going to start with the fire, and yeah, in terms of drawing fire, I suppose I didn't really go into that, but whenever it comes to drawing fire, like with Ghost Rider in particular, it's supposed to be kind of pooling out of the skull, so I have bits which are pooling out of his mouth and then back down into the jacket, and it kind of flows in a kind of liquidy way. And it's the same with these bits that come out of his eyes, or they come out of the top of the skull, and they kind of wash over it. When it comes to drawing fire, it's just kind of like drawing jagged, kind of sometimes rounded shapes. It's just mess. That's all it is. Because fire, the only thing that you need to make consistent with fire is its flow. So for example, all of this fire is flowing upwards. It's being pulled upwards. So whenever it's pooling out like this, it's coming out into a shape that kind of points upwards. Same with here, pools upwards. This part is kind of wrapping around a circular shape, but it's coming out in a point that goes upwards, upwards, upwards. And then these bits which kind of pool down like this, they still kind of move upwards. All the little shapes that are inside the flames that form these kind of little squiggly bits, it kind of pools upwards. That's the way it always moves. It has to move in a direction, because that's how fire works. In reality, it's kind of messy. But yeah, fire kind of, yeah, as I say, it's messy. It kind of waves and all this stuff, and sometimes it has more of kind of a flowing to it. It flows sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's jagged. It shoots in different directions. You just kind of, whenever you're drawing it, you just kind of need to make it roughly consistent. Like here, as I say, it's all moving upwards. These bits on the top of the skull, it's kind of technically speaking pooling backwards. because the way I draw the fire on Ghost Rider's head, it has a hair shape to it, so it kind of comes into like a hairline kind of shape here, but obviously it pulls out of his eyes and pulls out of his mouth, so it's kind of moving in a way of where there's a little bit more kind of going on to it. But usually the face, I usually have it that the face is the kind of front part. The front of his skull is obviously the front of everything, and the fire, if you were to see a side profile, there wouldn't be any fire on the front, would usually be how I would do it, and most of the fire is kind of hanging around at the back of his head, would be how I would kind of visualize it in my mind. But the front is kind of sticking out from the rest of the fire, and a lot of the fire kind of obscures parts of it. So for example, you can't see the top of his head, you can't see some of the sides of his skull that are being covered by the fire, because the front of the skull is poking out of it. That's the way I kind of think of it. But yeah, I will start colouring this fire. So I will go for a kind of a reddy orange colour, and I'll make it very bright. Because it needs to be bright, because it is fire at the end of the day. And I'll be putting glow and all this stuff on it, so you'll see what I'm doing. Whenever I do glow on fire, what I tend to do is I do an inner glow and an outer glow that are the same colour, but both of them are slightly different than the core colour. So whenever I'm putting on the glow, I won't be using this exact orange. I'll be using a slightly redder orange, so that it always looks like it gets yellower as it goes in, because I'll be doing two different tones of fire. There'll be the inner fire, which is a yellow colour, and then that glows and inner glows outwards and inwards as this kind of orange, and then the fire that I'm doing now, the kind of outer layer of fire, has a redder glow which kind of glows inwards and outwards, but as a redder colour, so that it's kind of coming in as more and more yellow. That's the idea anyways. You'll see what I mean as I'm going. But anyways, I will do this. Okay, I had to take a few minutes there. But yeah, now we're onto the painting. So, yeah, I'm going to paint the bone, but I'm going to be doing very intense lighting here. I'm going to be having all of the darks be kind of like a browny color, then all the lights be just straight orange. So that it looks like obviously the fire is giving some very harsh lighting. and I'm kind of not sure where I'm going to put darks on the bone, but I'll figure it out, I guess. See, this is I think this is a bit of an awkward looking drawing in places, like his hand here with the gun, because obviously this is the shape of the gun. The gun is kind of shaped like this, so this is the handle, and then it would have like a curved in handle or something like that, where your fingers would be down like this. So that's the pinky finger, ring finger, and then middle finger. You can't see the index finger, and then here's his thumb. So he's kind of holding it down like that, so you can't really see most of it. So you can't see the trigger or anything like that, because if you're aiming down, the trigger is pointed downwards, so you can't really see it. But yeah, like some of this is just kind of awkward. In retrospect, I wouldn't really do it like this. Over like having his hand here, it's kind of like an awkward pose. It's not right. In future, I would do something more like he's throwing his chain forward and he's got his hand back like that. So that's more of a kind of, or yeah, throwing his chain forward like this and his hand is back like that. That's more dynamic perspective. And it's a little less kind of awkward looking than this, because each of the three planes here are very flatly kind of placed against each other. So you've got the foreground with the gun, it's placed like right there. Then you got the middle ground with him here, and then you got his hand, which is back like this. And it's kind of like each plane is very awkwardly placed. So again, in retrospect, this isn't how I would do it. I whacked in just a few embers here and there. The texture, will do some work on those later. But yeah, so now I'm going to do the painted shading, and this shouldn't take very long. I should be able to kind of blast through this because I've only got a couple of colors to do this on. But yeah, this should be reasonably quick. Ideally it will be. Because yeah, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors to do any shading on, which shouldn't take very long. Most of them don't have much space taking up anyways. So yeah, anyways, I will do this and then I'll be back to do the detailed shading, and I'll just do the light line and everything like that. So yeah. Okay, so that is our painted shading done. So what I'm going to do is, for our darkest color, I'm going to take a kind of reddy brown, and for our lightest color, I'm going to take a kind of a yellowy color, maybe even more orangey, more like this. Maybe bring it up a little bit. Don't want it to be too far down that chain. But yeah, this is the kind of color palette I'm going to go for the detail shading, and then after I'm done this, I'm just going to run straight into the light line. I'll just do the light line with this, and then I'll run through the last few bits, textures and gradient maps and stuff like that. I'll do that at the end. But yeah, this is a longer one. Well, no, not a longer one. It's significantly shorter than the last one. It's shorter than the Ryu one as well. But it's longer than Batman. The next one will be shorter though. Yeah, I haven't really had a huge amount to say on this one for the most part. I feel like the kind of even what I said before, of where some of this is kind of clunky. It's not perfect. I mean, I've gotten this far and I'm gonna finish it, so this is the thing. I'm not going to shade the skull with detail shading though. I'll leave that alone because I don't feel a need to do it on there, but I will do it on the body and everything else. I'll do it on the chain. Thankfully, obviously, I don't need to be as detailed with the chain on anything, so yeah, that'll generally be pretty easy. But yeah, what was I going to say? There's something else which I meant to go over there very briefly. But, yeah, no, largely this one hasn't been too hard. Although, yeah, I definitely could have afforded to do this a little earlier in the day, because, yeah, it would have been easier if I'd done it earlier in the day, but I waited quite a while. But yeah, anyways, I'll finish this, all this detail stuff. I'll do the detail shading, I'll do the light line, and then I'll be back to go through the gradient maps and the texture. Okay. Okay, so that is our detail shading and our light line done, and I also signed it because I may as well just in that time. Itching my sock, or moving my sock is what I mean to say. But yeah, so that is all that stuff done, so now it's time to do gradient maps. So for the gradient maps, oh yeah, this is actually the first time in quite a while where I've done a light line which isn't white. I just figured it'd be more appropriate given that the background color is a yellowy color. I was like, no, that's technically the light coming from behind him, so it should maybe be that color on him. I don't know, figured that would be more appropriate, but yeah, so now the what do you call them, the gradient maps. So what do I need to do for these? I mean, realistically speaking, I just need to get something kind of, something like this, do it like that. Maybe not quite that bright. We want it to be a tinge. So we do still want this to be dark. Then with this for our lightest color, we don't want it to be too bright for our lightest. And then bring this down here. Tell you what will I do here? I will do this. I'll bring this up a little bit more, and then I will bring this up higher, put it there, bring it up to about there, and then I'll do this one, make this one closer to the red, more dark, even darker than that, and so this should make our gradient map reasonably dark. So when we do an overlay, yeah, pretty much everything is washed out completely. So that's what I want. I want it to kind of wash out the background mostly. Turn this down to 60% because we do want to have multiple gradient maps. See how this makes the fire glow a lot more? Makes it kind of a lot more... It's not even necessarily makes it glow more. It makes the background darker, so it makes it look like it's glowing more. Because it's radiating out more light against the darker background. But yeah, let us duplicate this, put it underneath, make it a luminosity layer, which will, technically speaking, wash it out, and then I'm going to turn this up to 30%, or no, that's 25%, because then, a bit sniffly today. I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to turn to a color burn, and turn that down to 5%. See how many I can make it that. Right. And that's very subtle on the color burn, but it just makes it a little bit darker. The luminosity does a lot more because it just dulls everything that little bit. And now, obviously, we're going to do a grab my texture, and I'm going to throw that over the top of it. So that should work for us by throwing that over the top. As soon as I can find it. Gone too far. Here we go. Grab this texture, throw it over the top. And this is obviously going to make everything a little bit lighter, so that is why we make everything so much darker in the other layers. So we're going to make this about 25%, I think, because we want it to be there, but we don't want it to overpower anything. So obviously it's a lot more visible here on everything, on all these kind of fading out colors, and you'll be able to see it a lot more on these embers because it'll disperse them a little bit more subtly. So you can see how the glow on these is kind of fading out along the edges, even along the glow of the core fire. It's happening there. I'm only going to be doing the one texture. I don't need a bunch of them this time. But yeah, you can see it on this, on the background here. The color is kind of, as it fades out, it kind of blurs into the other one a little bit nicer now with the texture on it. So, yeah, that is us done, more or less. But yeah, as I said, this is one of those ones of where it's just kind of a bit funky. It's not a perfect drawing by any means, because there's bits of it which I don't really like. I kind of, again, were I to do this again, I would make a lot more adjustments to it. I would, again, probably do some. I thought to myself, oh, I really want to do something with the shotgun, and then I was like, as I kind of drew it, I figured, as I was doing it today, I kind of realized to myself, oh, maybe that wasn't the best idea in the world. Excuse me on all the sniffling. But yeah, it's just quite. It's a bit kind of, again, as I say, with all each layer of each, like the background, the foreground, all this stuff is layered very flatly. Each layer of the perspective is very kind of flat looking, which isn't the best. But yeah, if I were to do it again, like I said, I'd go for something like Ghost Rider throwing his chain forward and then he's got his arm back, so that each piece of the perspective flows a little bit more. So whenever he's throwing the chain's obviously very far forward, but you can see the arm throwing it, then you can see him, then you can see his other arm getting further away into like this kind of pose like that. So you can see it getting further away in the perspective as it kind of comes out to the back. So something a little bit more kind of interesting looking. But yeah, if I were to do this type of thing again, that's kind of what I would go for. Something a little bit less kind of clunky, I feel. But yeah. So, yeah, I think that is everything I kind of wanted to say about this. This is 4 hours, so it's a little longer than Batman, but it's not as long as most of the other ones I've been doing recently. Reasonably short, all things considered. But yeah. So, yeah, I think that will be us. I think I will do the outro, and that'll be us. The dog is barking, so give me a moment. Okay, yeah, so that is us. I'll do the outro, and then I will leave you. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you like the video, do whatever you normally do. I just thought to myself, oh, is there anything else I needed to say just in case? No, it's just the outro. So yeah, if you like the video, do whatever it is you normally do, whether that be liking or not. I would of course prefer if you liked it, but if you would prefer not to, that's your business. Same deal, if you want to subscribe, you can do it. I would prefer if you did, but you know where the button is. If you're gonna press it, you're not gonna. If you're gonna press it, you're gonna press it. If you're not, you're not. So, if you would like to do it, you've presumably watched a YouTube video before, so you know where it is. You don't need me to point it out to you. But yeah. If you choose to watch the next video, I will see you next time. I always forget that last part a little bit. But yeah, if you choose to watch the next video, I will see you next time. And with all that said, that is us. So I will say goodbye, and I will leave you. So, bye-bye.